Confirmation then that of all of the scores from last night's games, and what a night of Premier League action it was. I was at the Spurs game against Liverpool. We'll talk about that a bit later on, but first of all, let's have a look at what we saw last night. Aston Villa beat Reading on Tuesday night, and Sunderland and QPR were goalless in Harry Redknapp's first game in charge of the West London club. Very disappointing from the European champions Chelsea against Fulham, although to be fair, the last time Fulham won at Stamford Bridge, Red Rum was winning the last of his Grand Nationals. Everton and Arsenal, a goal apiece. Disappointing again from the Goodison Park club, but also from Arsenal as well, who took the lead very early on in that game. Southampton and Norwich, a good point for both clubs, I'd say, but more misery for Newcastle, losing by 2-1 at Stoke. Good run there under Tony Pulis. Swansea, surprise result of the night, beating high-flying West Brom by 3-1. Spurs beating Liverpool by 2-1. Manchester United, gone in 60 seconds. Robin van Persie scoring just half a minute into that match to see off West Ham. And Manchester City, the Premier League champions, winning by 2-0 at Wigan. History made there because they're the first team ever in the Premier League to win, to go unbeaten in their first 14 games in consecutive seasons. Very impressive from them. But what's going wrong at Chelsea for Rafa? 2 games, 2 0-0 draws. And, you know, the Chelsea fans didn't boo him last night. Instead, they gave him the silent treatment. Now, the problem for Rafa is that if he were to get some wins to turn it around, then he might well sway them. But 2 0-0 draws didn't help. Here he is just trying to kind of give his excuses as to what happened.
Everybody here is disappointed at the end, so we have to give credit to Fulham. They were working very hard, but these are the games that you have to win and you cannot lose. I think that we were controlling the majority of the game. We were on top of them. They had 2 chances in counter-attack, so we have to improve this. Don't give them any chance and sustain the attack that like we were trying to do. But still, so we have to score goals. But I say again that they were working hard in defence with a lot of bodies behind the ball, and it's not easy. You cannot be satisfied when you cannot win these games. City is a top side, is a team that has a lot of options, and it was the first game. It was fine. Today I could see a lot of positive things. If you remember the game, we were regaining the ball very high. We were always sustaining the attack, and that was fine. When you play against a team that normally Stamford Bridge, they will wait for you. I didn't like these 2 chances that we gave in counter-attack, and I didn't like sometimes when we were moving the ball not too quick, but it's a question of time, so we have to keep training. We don't have too much time now. We have 2 training sessions and we'll play on Saturday morning, but that is the way.
Problem for Rafa is that the fans are not having it. They don't want to hear all of those excuses. They need for him to win. He needs for him to win if he's going to turn them around. And that game against West Ham at Upton Park on Saturday, very, very big game now for Rafa. Now, you're a Spurs fan, colours to the mast, so we'll be honest about that. But how do you see the Chelsea situation at the moment?
It sums up football at the moment, I think, with the changes of managers, the pressure they're put under. And it's going to be even more pressure probably for Rafa coming in for that job. But I think coming in, he must have known what Chelsea are like at the moment, maybe Abramovich. I think it's not run by one man, but he's got so much say in the club, hasn't he? So, as you can see by the previous managers that have come and gone. He knows that, Rafa, he knows that. People coming in saying he's the one to come and change Torres. I think Chelsea are more than just a one-man team. He needs to get everyone going. Whether he brings in his old school sort of rotation system to rest players, they'll need to do that with some of the older players they've got. But they probably need to be playing every week or they're going to have to retire, really. Now,
the interesting thing, Flash, as far as we're concerned, is every week, if you watch Saturday Live of Flash, she will tell you if Mata doesn't play for Chelsea, Chelsea do not win. Correct. And when I saw last night on the team sheet that Mata didn't play, then straight away I thought to myself, that's it, this is going to be 0-0. I think the Bet Butler called it last night, didn't he?
Yeah, we both did. We both had that draw and the Everton-Arsenal draw. But when you look at the side, the creativity being taken straight out. There was 5 defenders. Ryan Bertrand was playing in front of Ashley Cole. Then we had Romu and Ramirez, the 2 holding midfielders. Then you've got Oscar and Hazard. Oscar and Hazard, they click off of Mata. Mata is the one that gets the tempo going. And then you've got poor old Torres, who for me is isolated up the top. And it was such a negative outlook on the game from the start.
Is that why Torres isn't scoring? Look at these stats. In the Premier League this season, 14 appearances, just 4 goals, 23 shots. Dimitar Berbatov had something like double the amount of touches on the ball last night to Torres. You're both strikers, so I want you both to educate me and the viewers as to what's going wrong.
Well, I think so, don't we?
Yeah, well, exactly. The first thing I'd be worried about is that in 14 appearances, he's only had 23 shots. I mean, that's under 2 shots a game.
Wow.
Which is unbelievable for any striker.
You did mention, didn't you, like how isolated he actually is.
Yeah.
And for a player who's probably no secret that he's not in very good form, to leave him up top by himself, he's not the greatest. And we made a good comment off air as well. That Chelsea at the moment are playing very narrow, and for Torres to get any type of chances, they need to get the ball wide and get the ball in the box to him when he is clinical, when he's at his best.
We've got 2 Chelsea fans to join us here on this show. One, very much a friend of this show. Make sure you catch the Chelsea fan cast next Tuesday, because we'll have a whole host of guests on that. He is David Chigi, very much, as I say, a friend of the show, and also Ben Bentley as well. Both Chelsea fans, both been listening to what we've been saying about the trouble with Torres. Let's get their views first of all and what they see as the problem with Fernando. First, we'll start with you, David.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Very well indeed.
Sadly, we won't have you on the Chelsea fancast next Tuesday, though, Darren.
What do you see as the problem with Torres?
Well, honestly, Darren, I mean, Torres is playing like the Norman Wisdom of football at the moment. He spends more time tripping over his feet than he does doing anything useful. It's like a horror show. It really is. But I was listening to what Jack said. You know, I understand what he's saying about getting wide, but it's pointless. Torres hides all the time. The number of times yesterday when he should have been, you know, running in the channels or getting into the box and he was out wide. Head's gone, mate. I tell you, he's shot. Do you know? Completely shot.
You're bang right, David. And you just use a phrase that we were discussing off air before we came to air about Torres hiding. The lack of confidence with Torres is such that he doesn't put himself in a position to be able to take the chances that the players behind him were providing. Yeah. And can you tell that as you two as strikers?
To some point of view, we're looking at a Torres who, at the moment, we know he's not in form. He wants to prove himself. He wants to work hard. Like the guys just said there, he needs to get in the box. But if they're not getting down there and getting in the box, he's now he's under pressure to perform. He's going to now be running everywhere, trying to show everyone he is interested, and he's trying to be a good player for Chelsea.
You almost tried too hard, didn't you?
Yeah.
You always try too hard, and then you lose everything. And I think he's nervous. Every time he gets the ball, he wants to try and do too much, as if I can get this monkey off my back as quickly as possible. But Chelsea are not creating, especially last night. As soon as Juan Mata's not in the side, I look because he ticks everybody because he's such an inspiration.
Ben, do you agree with that? I'll bring you in a sec, David. I just want to bring Ben in here. Ben, do you agree with what Flash has been saying there?
In some things, yes. I think Torres' work rate at the moment is phenomenal. However, when you are the main striker, when we rely on you for goals, and forget how much he costs, you need to be in the box. So often he's out wide, and there's no point going out, and there's no point for us playing with width because.
Well, we've lost you for a second, so I'll come to you because he's agreed with you, David, about.
As soon as he gets anywhere near the box,
we've got him back.
As soon as he gets anywhere near the box, he's absolutely useless.
David, you've obviously been on this show quite a few times, and you know all about this speculation linking Chelsea with Falcao. Is it beyond Rafa to work his magic with Fernando Torres?
Well, here's the thing I wouldn't mind asking the guys, actually, because there's been a lot of rumours kicking around recently in the last week that, you know, Torres might have quite an issue with his knee and might not be fit. He might not have recovered from that injury he had before he came to Chelsea. And, I mean, you know, watching him for the last few weeks, and actually, really, since he's been there, to be honest, Darren, he seems to have lost that yard of pace. I mean, I remember the Torres that absolutely murdered Vidic. You know, when he got on the shoulder of a defender, he would steam past them and inevitably go on and score. I have never seen him do that for Chelsea. So I wonder if he's fully fit. I wonder if that injury's playing on his mind. And a lot of the ex-players that I've spoken to in the past, Darren, have said that if they don't feel that they're 100% fit, it actually affects them mentally. And I'd love to hear what the two strikers have to say about that.
Yeah, David. Obviously, if you're carrying something, you almost know that you've got to overcompensate to try and do something you wouldn't normally do. But I would say the biggest thing about Fernando Torres, if I was setting up a team to play against a team with Fernando Torres in, I'd defend so deep because he's one of the best in the world at drifting on your shoulder. Now, if you defend high, he's got 30 yards to run into. Now, if you remember when he was at Atletico Madrid and Liverpool, both of them, when you play against both of them sides, teams defended high up the pitch and he had all the space in behind. When you go against Chelsea, you make sure you defend deep, because if you keep Fernando Torres in front of you, then you've almost nullified him. So then he's only young, he's 24-year-old Torres. So now we've got to start saying, Torres, Fernando, you've now got to start learning to hold the ball up and maybe give and goes in and around the box.